Hello, tubers. How are you doing today? Well, I hope you're having a good day, praying the rosary, getting closer to God, and following His ways, because Yahweh is the best way. Today, I wanted to talk about fear, and one of my favorite Bible verses is in Proverbs 1. Uh, Proverbs 1, 7 through 8. And it goes like this. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So I've been kind of caught aback by people saying or listening to, I don't watch TV much at all, really. I usually just watch a lot of just video clips on YouTube, and now I'm going on more on BitChute. Uh, it's just YouTube is just becoming too censored, too manipulative, and so I like BitChute a little bit more. I know there's other platforms. I just haven't migrated to those other platforms like Rumble and other ones. So I've been listening to videos because that's what I basically use as entertaining or entertainment when I'm on my downtime. And I've been hearing a lot about people being afraid. And I gotta tell you, it makes me chuckle because I'm thinking, well, what are people are afraid of? That's what I'm thinking of. I remember years ago, I used to work in a restaurant as a waiter, and the women would ask me or another gentleman to escort them to the parking lot. Now, we would close in the evening, around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, and this was in a good area of where this wasn't a bad area. This was a good area in a restaurant. All you had to do is go maybe 35, 40 feet to your car and go to your car. And I just never thought that people would be afraid to go to their car. Like I found it very surprising that some women don't even go get gas at night. I'm thinking, what? I just that stuff doesn't even go through my mind. And I was like, oh, women would say to me, oh no, I never buy gas at night. I'm like, what? Like, I just didn't even think about that. I mean, I didn't understand. So anyway, going back to this fear thing, which is catching me, like I said, aback. It's like surprising to me that supposedly people are afraid. I'm like, what are you afraid of? I don't stand it. And I guess what it comes down to is this COVID virus, and people are scared that they're going to die. And I go, and I think to myself, I mean, don't people know that life is a death sentence? Don't you know that you're going to die? I mean, I remember waking up when I was 8 years old one time. I must have woke up around, because we used to me and my brother would go to bed around 9 o'clock because we were just little children. And which surprises me because a lot of little children now go to bed at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And like, that never happened with me. My mom would say, hey, hit the sack at 9 o'clock. You're going to sleep whether you like it or not. And, hey, it is what it was. So one time I woke up around 11 o'clock or so, 11:15 or so. And it dawned on me that at 8 years old that I was going to die. And it was interesting because I was laying in bed a week after sleeping for a couple hours. And for some reason, and I don't know why, I started about thinking my death. I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. Am I going to die? I'm contemplating this in my mind. And I'm going through it like for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, am I going to die? I think, oh goodness, and I started getting scared, as an 8 year old, like I was like, death was dawning on me, my finality was dawning on me. And I heard something in the kitchen, the Earth Reaper, No, it was, I think it was my dad, right? I'm like, oh, that's going to be my dad or something, my mom. So I get up and I had this, this worry, about, oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Am I going to die? I don't know. So my father was cooking some food on the stove. He was heating up some like milk. He used to have like cake with it and stuff like that. It was like his bedtime snack and bedtime snack. And so I said, Dad. He's like, what? I'm like, am I gonna die? And he just looks at me. He goes, oh, don't worry about that. You got a long time to live. Don't worry about that. And ever since then, hey, I knew I was gonna die. I mean, that was it. 8 years old. I knew I was gonna die. So going back to current times now, I'm thinking, why are people so worried about dying when this is not news? I mean, don't you know that you're gonna die? And I have a friend of mine. He's in his 50s, and he's if he's not morbidly obese, he is definitely obese. The guy drinks heavily, eats poorly, doesn't exercise. He lives a bad in regards to his health. He's very unhealthy, and he hasn't left his house until just recently to get the COVID vaccine. And now he's going out just a little bit. Still doesn't. He's still apprehensive. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a person who's basically killing yourself through your habits, and you're worried about getting COVID. It doesn't compute to me. I'm thinking, if you're really that worried about dying, shouldn't you be eating healthy, exercising? And this guy goes to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, come on. Don't you think you should go to bed around 11 o'clock or so, 12, instead of 5 o'clock in the morning and getting up? Anyway, so I'm thinking it just doesn't make sense to me. So, and all these people that are worried about getting COVID virus, meanwhile, a lot of these people have diabetes, they're way overweight, they don't exercise. So, on one hand, they worry about dying, and on the other hand, they live frivolously in regards to their health. And it's just this, I just don't understand it. I do understand it because a lot of it's just laziness. And, you want to do what you want to do. So, yeah, I'll have a big piece of cake, and I'm not going to exercise, and I'm going to, just live off of pills, wherever a pill will cure me, and that type of mind frame. And then, oh, but the minute, oh, I can't COVID is going to kill me, So they can't control that because they don't want to get the sickness. They don't mind killing themselves, on the other hand. It's just really a bizarre way to look at things. And also, like I said, it really stems from being lazy and wanting what you want. Of course, they don't want to get COVID. And nobody wants to be fat. You just become fat because of your eating, and a lot of it's the corrupt food supply and other things. But stress, if you have a job where you're sitting down all the time, like me, I do a lot of sitting, so you end up getting weight. And then I remember going into a lot of offices, and women are very much guilty of this. I'm not being sexist, but us men, we don't really worry about these things, where women will have like candies and little cookies and things of that nature on the desks. Oh, would you like a little bit of candy? Or like, oh, no, that's okay. Men don't think that way. We just kind of, eat as we go. We don't have chocolate kisses on our desk and things of that nature. That's just, who we are. And women, they kind of like having that little mints and candies, and which is fine, But us men, we don't really think about that. Anyway, so going back to this fear thing, it's really shocking to me that our people are so afraid of the death thing. I'm going to die of COVID, And hey, nobody wants to die, but at the same time, we're all going to die. It's just the way it is. And so I go back and this is what I talk about so much about my channel, is preparing our souls to go to heaven. And that's why I start out each and every video saying, hopefully you're praying the rosary, because the rosary has 15 promises that our Blessed Mother offers to us if we're devoted to the rosary. And many of the promises are to have you attain heaven when you pass on. So if you're really worried about dying, worry about the day after you die, or what you're going to be doing the day after you die. Because dying, hey, people die in their sleep. A lot of people die on the table. If you get a heart attack, you just have a couple of minutes or a minute of pain and you go down. It's not so much the dying part of it, it's the after part, where if you're going to be in hell, screaming and yelling in terrible, terrible pain, for me, that's the scary part. The death part, I'm sure it's not going to be wonderful, but it pales compared to the aftermath of what can happen to you once you are dead. So I just want to bring that upon everybody, just to really not worry about so much of the COVID virus or anything of this nature. Really, I say in one of my little speeches, or my motto. One of my mottos is, if you fear your faith is weak. So don't fear. Don't fear. Take that fear and give it to God. Give it to Jesus. Give it to our Blessed Mary, our Blessed Mother, the Virgin Mary. Give the fear to them. Give them the worry. All you have to worry about is following God's ways. Following God's ways. If you do your part, God will do his part. Just that's the way God is. However, you have to do your part. See? You have to do part. If you want to have a good body, you got to hit the gym. You got to watch your intake, your diet, right? Stress, stretching, all those things, right? So you got to do your part. You got to do your part. That's just the way it is. So if you do your part, praying the rosary, not committing sins, especially the mortal sins, going to church, following the sacraments, obeying as much as you can the commandments. Now, we're not going to be perfect. That's why we had Jesus come down and help us, because none of us will go into heaven before Jesus came. So, of course, we rely on Jesus, but we have to stand also on our own 2 feet, because you want to be as squeaky clean as possible. So those are the things I have to say today. Just if you fear about the COVID virus and things of this nature, you can't stop a virus. You cannot stop a virus. Now you can say, well, I'll take the vaccine. But if the vaccine mutates and the vaccine's not 100%, and what about if you get sick from the vaccine? So there's nothing that's 100%. Nothing. So the best thing that you can do is rely on God. Lay on top of God. Right? Be like a baby and let God carry you. But you have to do your part. As I keep on mentioning, do your part. Do your part. And if you do your part, God is more than happy to do his part. He'll do his part. He's waiting to do his part. He's just waiting for you to do your part. For him he can't wait to do his part. Jesus wants to help you, but we tie his hands because we live in sin. We commit sins and we disobey God's ways. So how is God the Father, going to help you when his son, namely you, are misbehaving? It's impossible. So do your part and let God do his part. And don't worry. Do not worry. Hey, we're all going to die. We are all going to die. That's just the way it is. Life is a death sentence. The best thing we could do is, as I'm repeating myself, just follow God's ways and let the worries, give him the worries. I remember when I was a kid, I very rarely worried. The only thing that I concerned myself was to do okay in school. Everything else, I gave it to my parents. Food, my parents. Shelter, my parents. If I was sick, my parents. All I had to do was go to school, pass some tests, and that was it. So all you have to do is just follow God's ways. And that's it. That's no problem. Just do it. All right, people. I hope you appreciate the video. If you liked it, please give a like. And as always, God bless.